Maya Chen sat in the back corner of advanced xenobiology, her worn leather jacket draped over the uncomfortable plastic chair. The lecture hall buzzed with nervous energy as Professor Kellarn discussed the upcoming field expedition to Kepler 442b. Around her, students from dozens of different species whispered excitedly about the opportunity to study alien ecosystems firsthand. "The expedition will last 3 standard months," Professor Kellarn continued, his forearms gesturing at the holographic display showing the planet's surface. The Altarian's skin shifted from pale blue to deep purple as he spoke, a sure sign he was passionate about the subject. "You'll be working in teams of 6, with each team assigned to a different biome. This is not a vacation, students. Kepler 442b is classified as a Class 3 world, meaning there are significant environmental hazards." Maya barely looked up from her notebook, where she was sketching detailed diagrams of the planet's atmospheric composition from memory. She'd been to Kepler 442b before, twice actually, but nobody in this room knew that. To her classmates, Maya was just another human student, quiet, unremarkable, and slightly older than most. She always sat alone, turned in her assignments on time, and scored average grades. Nothing about her stood out except perhaps her tendency to wear the same battered leather jacket every day, regardless of the weather control settings in the campus buildings. "Miss Chen?" Professor Kellarn's voice cut through her thoughts. "Perhaps you could share your thoughts on the atmospheric density readings we discussed last week?" Maya looked up, meeting the professor's 3 black eyes. Around her, she could feel the other students watching. A few Zorathi students clicked their mandibles in what she recognized as amusement. They probably expected her to stumble through an answer. "The atmospheric density on Kepler 442b is roughly 1.3 times that of Earth standard," she said calmly. "The higher oxygen content makes fire hazards more severe, but the increased pressure actually helps with human lung efficiency at altitude. The real danger isn't the air composition, it's the pressure differentials in the canyon systems. Rapid decompression can occur without warning, especially during the storm season." Professor Kellarn's skin shifted to a surprised green. "That's quite detailed, Miss Chen. Have you been doing additional research?" "Something like that," Maya replied, returning her attention to her notebook. The truth was, Maya had spent 8 months on Kepler 442b during the Hegemony War. She'd watched good people die in those canyon systems when atmospheric storms hit without warning. But that was 3 years ago, and now she was just another student trying to finish her degree and move on with her life. After class, Maya packed her things quickly and headed for the exit. She preferred to avoid the clusters of students who gathered to discuss assignments and weekend plans. It wasn't that she disliked them, she just found it difficult to relate to their concerns about grades and social events when she'd spent the last decade fighting for humanity's survival against a galactic empire that wanted to enslave or exterminate them. "Hey, Maya!" She turned to see Zix, a Polarian student with bright orange fur and large, expressive eyes. Zix was one of the few classmates who made an effort to include Maya in conversations, though Maya had never encouraged it. "A few of us are going to study for the orbital mechanics exam tomorrow. Want to join us?" Zix asked, her tail swishing hopefully behind her. "Thanks, but I'm good," Maya replied. "I've got plans." Her plans involved a can of cheap beer and a maintenance shift at the spaceport. Maya worked part-time repairing atmospheric processors, a job that paid well enough to cover her tuition, but didn't require much interaction with other people. It was peaceful work, and after years of combat, she appreciated peace. Zix's ears drooped slightly. "Okay, maybe next time. You know, Maya, you don't have to be so isolated all the time. We're all just trying to figure this stuff out together." Maya almost smiled at that. If only Zix knew how much Maya had already figured out, often while people were shooting at her. I'll think about it, she said instead. As Maya walked across campus, she noticed a commotion near the administration building. A crowd of students had gathered, and she could hear raised voices. Her training kicked in automatically: situational awareness, escape routes, potential threats. Old habits died hard. She was about to continue walking when she heard someone mention Kepler 442b. "This is exactly what I'm talking about," a human student was saying loudly. His name was Derek something, Maya remembered. He was in her xenobiology class but rarely spoke up during discussions. Now he was addressing a mixed crowd of students, his face red with anger. "They're sending us to a Class 3 world like we're expendable. Humans always get the dangerous assignments, the high-risk missions. Meanwhile, the Altarian students get to study in climate-controlled biodomes on safe worlds." Several human students nodded in agreement. Maya could see the resentment building in their faces. She understood the feeling. During the war, humans had earned a reputation for taking on impossible missions, often because they were the only species crazy enough to try. But that reputation came with a cost. "It's not fair," Derek continued. "We're not cannon fodder anymore. The war is over. We shouldn't have to prove ourselves by dying on alien worlds." An Altarian student stepped forward, his skin flushing an angry red. "Nobody's asking you to die, human. Kepler 442b is dangerous, yes, but it's a valuable research opportunity. If you can't handle it, perhaps you should consider a different field of study." The tension in the crowd spiked. Maya could feel it building like an approaching storm. She'd seen this before, the moment when words turned into violence. During the war, these kinds of confrontations had been common between human and alien troops, especially in the early years before they learned to work together. "Easy for you to say," Derek shot back. "Your people didn't spend 15 years fighting and dying while the rest of the galaxy sat back and watched." "The hegemony war affected everyone," the Altarian replied coldly. "And if I recall correctly, your species started that conflict with their aggressive expansion." Derek's fist was already moving when Maya stepped between them. She caught his wrist with practiced ease, her grip firm enough to stop the punch, but not hard enough to cause damage. "That's enough," she said quietly. Derek tried to pull away, but Maya's grip didn't budge. He was stronger than her, most humans were, but strength wasn't everything. She'd learned to use leverage and pressure points from instructors who could bench press a small shuttle. "Let go of me," Derek demanded. "When you calm down," Maya replied. She looked at the Altarian student, who was backing away with his friends. "All of you need to step back." For a moment, the crowd seemed poised to ignore her. Maya was just another quiet student, after all. What authority did she have to break up their confrontation? Then Derek made the mistake of trying to grab Maya's throat with his free hand. The movement was so fast that most of the onlookers missed it. One moment, Derek was reaching for her. The next, he was on the ground with his arm twisted behind his back and Maya's knee pressed against his spine. The entire takedown had taken less than 2 seconds. "I said calm down," Maya repeated, her voice still quiet but carrying an edge that made several students step back. Derek gasped, his face pressed against the pavement. "What the hell? Let me go!" Maya held him for another few seconds, making sure he understood she was in control, then released him and stepped back. Derek scrambled to his feet, rubbing his shoulder and staring at her with a mixture of anger and confusion. "How did you—" he started. "Fighting doesn't solve anything," Maya said, addressing the entire crowd. "You want to honor the humans who died in the war? Don't waste your lives on stupid fights. Be better." She turned and walked away, leaving behind a crowd of stunned students. As she reached the edge of campus, she could hear them talking in hushed voices, trying to understand what they'd just witnessed. Maya sighed and pulled out her communication pad. She had a feeling this incident was going to cause problems. She was right. The next morning, she found Dr. Sarah Voss waiting outside her apartment building. Dr. Voss was the Dean of Student Affairs, a position that made her responsible for everything from housing disputes to academic misconduct. Maya had never met her personally, but she knew the woman's reputation for being thorough and fair. "Miss Chen," Dr. Voss said as Maya approached. "I was hoping we could have a conversation." Maya nodded toward a small coffee shop across the street. "Want to grab something to drink?" A few minutes later, they were seated in a quiet corner booth with steaming cups between them. Dr. Voss was a woman in her 50s with graying hair and laugh lines around her eyes. She looked like someone who'd spent her life working with students, patient and understanding. "Several students have filed reports about yesterday's incident," Dr. Voss began. "They all agree that you prevented a fight, which I appreciate. However, there are some questions about how you handled the situation." Maya sipped her coffee and waited. She'd learned during military debriefings that saying nothing was often better than saying too much. "Derek Harrison claims you attacked him," Dr. Voss continued. "But the other witnesses say he grabbed you first. What I'm curious about is your response. According to multiple accounts, you neutralized a young man who's significantly larger than you in a matter of seconds." "He was upset," Maya said. "I helped him calm down." Dr. Voss smiled. "Miss Chen, I've been working with students for over 20 years. I know the difference between someone breaking up a fight and someone with professional training. Your academic records show you took a gap year before enrolling. Mind telling me what you did during that time?" Maya considered her options. Her military service wasn't classified, but it also wasn't something she advertised. She'd chosen to attend university under her civilian identity specifically to avoid these kinds of questions. "I served in the Colonial Defense Force," she said finally. "Nothing special, just basic training and a standard tour." Dr. Voss nodded slowly. "The Colonial Defense Force has been disbanded for 3 years, Miss Chen. It was absorbed into the Terran Federation Navy at the end of the war. How long did you serve?" "Long enough." "I see." Dr. Voss pulled out a data pad and scrolled through what looked like an official document. "Miss Chen, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I'd appreciate an honest answer. Are you Maya Chen, formerly Sergeant Chen of the Colonial Defense Force's 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion?" Maya's hand tightened around her coffee cup. The 3rd Recon Battalion was legendary in military circles. They'd been the unit responsible for some of the most dangerous missions during the Hegemony War, including several operations that had turned the tide of the conflict. Their casualty rate had been nearly 70%. "Why are you asking?" Maya said. "Because if you are, then Derek Harrison tried to start a fight with someone who personally killed over 200 enemy soldiers and survived missions that other species consider impossible." Dr. Voss leaned forward. "The 3rd Recon Battalion was awarded more medals for valor than any other unit in human history. Their members don't just have basic training, Miss Chen." The coffee shop suddenly felt too small. Maya could feel the walls closing in, the same claustrophobic sensation she'd experienced in underground bunkers while artillery rained down overhead. She forced herself to breathe slowly and evenly. "The war's over," she said. "I'm just a student now." "I understand that's what you want," Dr. Voss replied gently. "And I respect your desire for a normal life. But Maya, you can't pretend to be ordinary when you're not. Yesterday's incident proves that. When push came to shove, your training kicked in. You handled Derek like he was an enemy combatant." Maya stood up abruptly. "If you're going to expel me, just say so." "I'm not going to expel you," Dr. Voss said. "But I am going to make you an offer. The university has been asked to recommend candidates for a special research program. It's a joint venture between the Terran Federation and the Galactic Science Consortium. They need people with both academic credentials and practical experience in dangerous environments." "What kind of research?" "Xenobiology fieldwork on worlds that are too dangerous for standard survey teams. The pay is excellent, and the work would count toward your advanced degree requirements." Dr. Voss paused. They specifically requested candidates with military backgrounds, preferably special operations. Maya sat back down, her mind racing. During the war, she'd dreamed of a quiet life where nobody knew her name or her service record. But 3 years of trying to blend in had taught her that some things couldn't be left behind. "What's the catch?" she asked. "The first mission is to Kepler 442b. The planet your class is already assigned to visit. But this wouldn't be a student expedition. You'd be leading a team of researchers into areas that are currently considered too dangerous for normal survey operations." Maya closed her eyes. Kepler 442b, the planet where she'd lost half her squad to an atmospheric storm. Where she'd spent weeks behind enemy lines, living off emergency rations and rainwater while calling in artillery strikes on hegemony positions. "Who else knows about my service record?" she asked. "Just me for now. But Maya, secrets have a way of coming out, especially when you're as skilled as you are. Yesterday won't be the last time your training shows. You can either try to keep hiding, or you can use your abilities to do something meaningful." Maya thought about Derek and his angry words about humans always getting the dangerous assignments. He wasn't wrong. Humans did get the worst jobs, the highest risks, the longest odds. But they also got results that other species couldn't achieve. "If I take this assignment," Maya said slowly, "what happens to my classmates? The regular student expedition? They'll still go, but to the safer regions we've already mapped. The areas you'd be exploring are completely uncharted. If something goes wrong out there, standard rescue protocols might not be enough." Maya nodded. That was what made it interesting. During the war, she'd specialized in impossible rescues and missions that command considered lost causes. Maybe it was time to stop pretending she was anything else. "When do I leave?" she asked. Dr. Voss smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that. There's a transport leaving for Kepler 442b in 2 weeks, but first there's someone you need to meet, your team leader for this assignment." "I thought I was leading the team." "You're leading the field operations, but this is still a research mission, and research missions need scientists." Dr. Voss stood up and gathered her things. "Maya, you're about to meet some very interesting people. Try to keep an open mind." As Dr. Voss left, Maya remained seated in the coffee shop, staring out the window at students walking to their morning classes. They looked so young, so hopeful. She remembered feeling that way once, before the war taught her that hope was a luxury most people couldn't afford. Her communication pad buzzed with a message from Zix, asking if she wanted to study together for their upcoming exam. Maya stared at the message for a long time before deleting it without responding. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt, and Maya was about to burn a lot of bridges. The research facility on Luna Station buzzed with activity as Maya made her way through the corridors. 2 days had passed since her conversation with Dr. Voss, and now she found herself boarding a transport to meet her new team. The familiar weight of military-grade gear felt strange after years of carrying nothing but textbooks and data pads. The transport bay was smaller than she expected, designed for research vessels rather than military craft. Maya counted 6 people standing near a sleek exploration ship, its hull bearing the distinctive markings of the Galactic Science Consortium. As she approached, she could identify the species: 2 humans, 1 Altarian, 1 Polarian, 1 massive Cronin, and something she'd never seen before. "You must be Maya," said the tallest human, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. He was about 40 years old, with prematurely gray hair and the kind of tan that came from spending time under alien suns. "I'm Dr. Marcus Webb, xenogeologist and mission leader." Maya shook his hand, noting the calluses that suggested fieldwork rather than pure academic research. "Dr. Webb." "Just Marcus, please. We don't stand on ceremony out here." He gestured to the others. "Let me introduce the team. The other human was a woman in her 30s with short black hair and observant eyes. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, xenobotanist. I specialize in plant life that kills people in creative ways. The Altarian stepped forward, his skin cycling through polite blue tones. Maya recognized him immediately from her xenobiology class. Dr. Kellarn, I believe we've met, Miss Chen. Maya nodded. Professor, I didn't expect to see you here. The university recommended me when they learned about this expedition. Apparently, my expertise in atmospheric biology is valuable for this particular mission. Kellarn's skin shifted to a curious purple. I must admit, I was surprised to learn you'd been selected. Your academic performance, while adequate, didn't suggest special qualifications. The Polarian bounded forward before Maya could respond. She was younger than the others, probably fresh out of advanced education, with silver fur and bright green eyes. I'm Dr. Lyra Yassel, communications specialist. I work with translation protocols and first contact procedures. This is so exciting. The Cronin stepped forward last, her massive frame casting a shadow over the group. Crow were rare in academic circles, their species being known more for engineering and heavy labor than research. This one stood nearly 8 feet tall, with the characteristic rock-like skin and glowing amber eyes. Engineer Thok, she said in a voice like grinding stone. I keep things working when they break, and things always break. Finally, Maya turned to the unknown alien. It looked vaguely reptilian, but moved with a fluid grace that suggested an aquatic evolution. Its skin shifted colors like a chameleon, currently displaying mottled greens and blues. I am Dr. Neris Quintal, it said in accented standard. I am Sivarian. My specialty is xenobiological hazard assessment. I study things that try to eat research teams. Marcus clapped his hands together. Now that everyone's acquainted, let's talk about what we're really doing here. He activated a holographic display showing Kepler 442b. The official mission is to conduct biological surveys in the equatorial highlands. The unofficial mission is to figure out why 3 previous research teams have disappeared in that region. Maya felt her old instincts sharpen. Disappeared how? Good question, Elena said. The first team went dark 18 months ago. Standard protocol violation, they wandered outside their designated research area and lost communication. The second team was sent to find them. They found the first team's camp completely abandoned but with no signs of struggle. Equipment intact. Personal items left behind, meals half-eaten, Marcus continued. Like they just walked away in the middle of dinner. Kellarn's skin flushed, nervous yellow. And the third team? Found the second team's camp in the same condition, Neris replied. But this time, they managed to send one transmission before they disappeared too. Would you like to hear it? The recording was brief and filled with static, but Maya could make out panicked voices in the background. A human voice came through clearly. Something in the forest. It's not showing up on scanners, but we can see the trees moving. The pattern is wrong, like something huge is... The transmission cut to silence. Thok made a sound that might have been laughter. Sounds like Tuesday to me. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning, Marcus said. But first, I want to address the elephant in the room. He looked directly at Maya. Maya, everyone here knows about your military background. Some of them specifically requested to work with you. Maya glanced around the group. Which ones? Me, Elena said. I was a medical officer with the 15th Colonial Marines during the war. I know your reputation, Sergeant. I also know that when 3rd Recon showed up, it usually meant the situation was already completely foobar. Lyra's tail twitched nervously. My cousin served with the 5th Fleet. He said human special forces were either crazy or brilliant. Sometimes both. I requested you specifically, Neris added. Sivarians have a saying, when death walks in the forest, bring the humans who laugh at death. Maya looked at Marcus. And you? I've been leading research expeditions for 15 years, he said. I've lost too many good people to things we didn't see coming. If there's something dangerous on Kepler 442b, I want the best soldier I can get watching our backs. Kellarn remained silent, his skin cycling through uncomfortable colors. Maya could guess what he was thinking. During the war, many Altarians had considered humans to be unnecessarily violent and reckless. Peace had improved relations, but old prejudices died hard. Let me make something clear, Maya said. I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm here to do science just like the rest of you. But if something goes wrong, I'll do whatever it takes to get everyone home safely. Fair enough, Marcus said. Now, let's review the mission parameters. The next hour was spent going over equipment lists, safety protocols, and research objectives. Maya found herself impressed by the team's professionalism. These weren't naive academics playing at exploration. They were experienced scientists who understood the dangers of their work. As the briefing concluded, the team members began to disperse to their quarters. Maya was gathering her gear when Kellarn approached her. Miss Chen, might I have a word? They found a quiet observation deck with a view of Earth hanging in the black. Kellarn's skin had settled into neutral blue, which Maya had learned indicated thoughtfulness rather than emotion. I owe you an apology, he said. During the war, my people believed humans were unnecessarily aggressive. We thought your species enjoyed violence for its own sake. Maya leaned against the viewing port. Some of us did. War does things to people. Yes, but we failed to understand why you fought so hard. We thought it was because you were primitive, less evolved than species who had moved beyond physical conflict. Kellarn's skin shifted to embarrassed purple. We didn't realize you were fighting for your survival, for your right to exist. The hegemony would have exterminated us, Maya said quietly. That tends to motivate people. Indeed, after the war, I made it my mission to study human courage, not from a biological perspective, but from a philosophical one. I wanted to understand how a species could face extinction and respond with such determination. Maya smiled slightly. Find any answers? Some. I learned that humans don't fight because you enjoy it. You fight because you refuse to surrender. There's a difference. Kellarn's skin brightened to an almost golden hue. I requested this assignment partly because I wanted to work with you specifically, to see that courage in action. You might get your chance, Maya said. Something killed 3 research teams. That's not normal predation or environmental hazards. No, Kellarn agreed, which brings me to my real question. Are you afraid? Maya considered the question seriously. Fear had been her constant companion during the war, a cold weight in her stomach that never fully went away. She'd learned to function with it, to use it as a tool for survival. But afraid of some unknown threat on a planet she'd fought over before? Always, she said. Fear keeps you alive. The trick is not letting it paralyze you. Kellarn's skin shifted to what Maya had learned was respectful acknowledgement. I believe my species could learn much from yours about courage, Miss Chen. Thank you for the lesson. As Kellarn left, Maya remained on the observation deck, watching Earth turn slowly in the void. Tomorrow they would depart for Kepler 442b, a world that held too many memories and apparently too many secrets. She thought about the 3 missing research teams and wondered what they had encountered in those equatorial highlands. Her communication pad buzzed with a message from Dr. Voss. Thought you should know. Derek Harrison has been spreading rumors about your military service. Some students are asking questions. Be careful, Maya. Not everyone appreciates what you've done for humanity. Maya deleted the message without responding. Let Derek spread his rumors. Soon she'd be millions of kilometers away, doing what she did best, walking into dangerous situations so other people didn't have to. The next morning, the team gathered at the departure bay. Their ship, designated the Research Vessel Endeavor, was larger than Maya had expected. It was designed for extended missions in hostile environments, with redundant life support systems and enough supplies to last 6 months. As they prepared for departure, Marcus pulled Maya aside. "There's something else you should know," he said quietly. "The consortium isn't just interested in solving the mystery of the missing teams. They want to know if whatever's on Kepler 442b could be weaponized." Maya felt her blood chill. Weaponized how? Unknown. But whatever made those teams disappear did it without leaving conventional evidence. No bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle. If that's some kind of biological agent or unknown technology, he let the implication hang in the air. And if it is? Then our mission changes from research to containment. The consortium has given me sealed orders that I'm only supposed to open under specific circumstances. Maya nodded grimly. During the war, she'd carried plenty of sealed orders herself. They usually meant someone expected the mission to go very badly. "Who else knows about this?" "Just you and me. The others think we're here to solve a mystery and gather scientific data. Let's hope that's all we end up doing." As the Endeavor lifted off from Luna Station, Maya found herself wondering if she'd made a mistake. 3 years of quiet student life hadn't prepared her for the possibility that the war wasn't really over. It had just moved to different battlefields. The journey to Kepler 442b would take 2 weeks in hyperspace. Maya spent the time familiarizing herself with the team's equipment and reviewing everything known about the planet's ecology. The official records painted a picture of a world rich in biodiversity, but riddled with environmental hazards. Atmospheric storms, unstable geology, and aggressive fauna made it a challenging research destination, even under the best circumstances. What the official records didn't mention was the planet's strategic importance during the war. Kepler 442b had been a major battleground, its position along key trade routes making it valuable to both sides. Maya had fought there twice, once during the initial invasion and again during the final hegemony retreat. She knew the planet's geography better than anyone else on the team, but that knowledge came with a price. On the 5th day of the journey, Elena found Maya in the ship's small gym, working through a combat training routine with mechanical precision. "You know, most scientists don't practice CQC in their spare time," Elena observed, settling onto a nearby bench. Maya completed her current sequence and grabbed a towel. "Most scientists didn't spend 10 years learning how to kill people efficiently." "True, but most soldiers don't study xenobiology after their discharge either. What made you choose academia?" Maya considered the question while stretching. Elena had been a military medic, so she understood the difficulties of transitioning back to civilian life. Maybe she'd understand this too. "During the war, I saw things," Maya said slowly. "Alien ecosystems, creatures that evolution never could have produced on Earth, entire worlds that were like living laboratories. When the fighting stopped, I realized I wanted to understand those things instead of just destroying them. And now? Now I'm starting to think understanding might not be enough." Elena nodded. "The missing teams." 3 teams, Elena. Experienced researchers with top-tier equipment, and they just vanished. During the war, we had a saying, when good soldiers disappear, it's usually because they found something they couldn't kill. You think whatever's on Kepler 442b is that dangerous? Maya finished her stretching and began cleaning her gear. "I think we're about to find out." The conversation was interrupted by an announcement from the bridge. "All hands, this is Captain Torres. We'll be dropping out of hyperspace in 6 hours. Please secure all equipment and prepare for orbital insertion." Maya felt the familiar pre-mission tension settling in her muscles. 6 hours until they reached Kepler 442b. 6 hours until she returned to a planet where she'd lost friends and fought battles that still haunted her dreams. As she made her way back to her quarters, she passed the common area where the rest of the team was gathering. Lyra was excitedly discussing the planet's communication networks, while Neris and Thok debated the best methods for detecting biological hazards. They looked confident, eager, ready to make scientific discoveries that would advance their careers. Maya hoped they'd live long enough to publish their findings. In her quarters, she opened her personal gear locker and pulled out a small metal case. Inside, wrapped in bioprotective foam, was a combat knife with a matte black blade. She'd carried it through every mission during the war, from the first desperate battles on the outer colonies to the final assault on the hegemony homeworld. She'd hoped never to need it again. Maya secured the knife to her belt and began checking her other equipment. If the mission went according to plan, she'd spend the next 3 months collecting plant samples and atmospheric readings. But if the mission went the way her instincts were telling her it would go, she might need every skill she'd learned in 10 years of warfare. As the ship shuddered slightly, beginning its transition back to normal space, Maya closed her eyes and tried to center herself. In a few hours, she'd be back on Kepler 442b, walking the same forests where she'd once called in artillery strikes and counted her dead. This time, she was supposed to be a scientist, but Maya Chen had learned long ago that sometimes the only way to preserve knowledge was to be ready to fight for it. The ship's intercom crackled to life. Orbital insertion complete. Welcome to Kepler 442b, everyone. Try not to die. Maya opened her eyes and smiled grimly. It was going to be an interesting 3 months. The descent through Kepler 442b's atmosphere felt like coming home to a place Maya never wanted to see again. Through the shuttle's viewports, she watched familiar mountain ranges and forest canopies pass below. The equatorial highlands stretched out like a green ocean broken by rocky islands, beautiful and deadly in equal measure. Initial atmospheric readings are within normal parameters, Elena reported from her sensor station. No immediate hazards detected. Maya almost laughed. Kepler 442b's hazards were rarely immediate. They preferred to wait until you were comfortable before trying to kill you. The landing site was a cleared plateau about 50 kilometers from where the first research team had disappeared. Marcus had chosen it for its defensive advantages, high ground with good visibility and multiple escape routes. Maya approved. The man thought like a soldier when it mattered. As the shuttle's engines wound down, the team began unloading their equipment. Maya stepped outside first, her trained eyes scanning the perimeter while the others focused on their scientific instruments. The air was thick and humid, carrying scents of alien vegetation and something else she couldn't identify. Something wrong. Atmospheric density confirmed at 131 Earth standard, Kellarn announced, his skin shifting to satisfied blue. Temperature is 28 degrees Celsius with moderate humidity. Quite pleasant, actually. Don't get comfortable, Maya warned. This planet has a sense of humor, and it's not a nice one. Thok finished assembling their communication array and tested the connection to their orbital relay. Link established. We can call for extraction if needed. If the relay satellite doesn't get hit by an atmospheric storm, Maya added, or shot down, or eaten by something with electromagnetic digestive systems. Lyra's tail twitched nervously. Eaten? What kind of creatures have electromagnetic digestion? Maya realized she'd drawn on classified wartime knowledge. During the fighting, they'd encountered several native species that could disrupt electronic systems through biological processes, but that information had been restricted to military personnel. Just staying paranoid, she said instead. It keeps people alive. The team spent the rest of the day setting up their base camp. Maya found herself constantly checking sight lines and escape routes, while the others focused on scientific equipment, old habits. The camp took shape efficiently. Environmental shelters, research stations, perimeter sensors, and emergency supplies. Everything they needed to survive for 3 months while uncovering the truth about the missing teams. That night, as the team settled into their quarters, Maya volunteered for first watch. She'd done it so many times during the war that sleeping without someone on guard felt wrong. The alien night was alive with sounds, insect analogues clicking and chirping, nocturnal creatures moving through the undergrowth, and the distant rumble of atmospheric disturbances. Maya recognized most of the sounds from her previous deployments, but there was something new. A rhythmic vibration that seemed to come from underground. She activated her communication implant and connected to Marcus's channel. "Are you awake?" "Yeah. What's wrong?" "Can you feel that vibration? Like a low-frequency pulse?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Now that you mention it, yes. What do you think it is?" Maya had her suspicions, but they were based on classified wartime encounters. "Could be geological. Kepler 442b has unstable substrata in some regions." "Or it could be biological," Marcus said. "I'll have Neris run scans in the morning." The vibration continued throughout the night, just at the edge of perception. Maya found it oddly hypnotic, like a massive heartbeat echoing through the planet's crust. By morning, she'd almost gotten used to it. The first week passed without incident. The team established research routines, collected samples, and began mapping the local ecosystem. Kellarn was particularly excited about the atmospheric microorganisms, while Elena documented several new plant species with fascinating chemical properties. Neris focused on cataloging potential biological hazards, though she found nothing immediately threatening. Maya divided her time between security patrols and assisting with data collection. Her military knowledge of the planet proved invaluable for navigation and hazard identification, though she was careful not to reveal how extensive that knowledge was. It was during the second week that they found the first research camp. The site was exactly as described in the reports. Tents intact, equipment undisturbed, personal belongings scattered around as if their owners had simply walked away. Maya examined the scene with practiced eyes, while the others focused on scientific analysis. "No signs of struggle," Elena observed. "No blood, no evidence of violence." "The equipment is still functional," Talk added, powering up one of the abandoned data collectors. "Whatever happened, it wasn't an equipment failure." Lyra was reviewing the abandoned communication logs. Last entry was routine. They reported normal research activities and scheduled their next check-in. Then, nothing. Maya knelt by the camp's central fire pit. The ashes were cold, but she could see the remains of a half-burned meal. "They were eating when it happened," she said. "Food's still in the pot, but it's been here for months." Neris was scanning the area with her biological sensors. "I'm detecting traces of unknown organic compounds. Concentration is highest near the tree line." "What kind of compounds?" Marcus asked. "Pheromonal, possibly. Something that might affect neural activity in humanoid species." Maya felt her instincts sharpen. During the war, they'd encountered biological weapons that used pheromonal triggers. The hegemony had been creative with their attempts to pacify human populations. "Could it cause people to abandon their camp and wander off?" she asked. "Possibly," Neris replied. "But I'd need more samples to be certain." They spent the rest of the day documenting the abandoned camp and collecting samples. As evening approached, Marcus made the decision to return to their own base rather than camp at the site. Maya approved. Whatever had happened here, she didn't want the team sleeping in the same location. The walk back took 2 hours through increasingly dense forest. Maya maintained point position, her senses alert for any sign of danger. The underground vibrations seemed stronger here, and there was something else, a sound just at the edge of hearing, like whispered voices carried on the wind. They were halfway back to base when Lyra suddenly stopped walking. "Do you hear that?" she asked, her ears swiveling toward the forest. "Hear what?" Marcus asked. Lyra's expression was dreamy, almost peaceful. The singing, it's beautiful. Maya felt ice form in her stomach. She grabbed Lyra's arm and found the Polarian's muscles relaxed, almost limp. Lyra, look at me. But Lyra was already turning toward the tree line, her eyes unfocused. She took a step toward the forest, then another. "Thok, grab her!" Maya shouted. The massive Cronin moved fast for her size, wrapping one arm around Lyra and lifting her off the ground. Lyra struggled weakly, still staring toward the forest with that dreamy expression. "The singing," Lyra murmured. "Can't you hear it?" Maya couldn't hear any singing, but her combat implants were detecting low-frequency audio patterns that her natural hearing couldn't process. "Everyone back to back. Weapons ready." "Weapons?" Kellarn's skin flushed confused yellow. "Maya, we're scientists, not soldiers." "Right now we're prey," Maya replied, drawing her sidearm. "Elena, hit Lyra with a stimulant, something to counteract whatever's affecting her neurochemistry." Elena's medical training kicked in. She activated her emergency kit and prepared a broad-spectrum neural stimulant. "This might be dangerous without knowing exactly what we're dealing with." "More dangerous than letting her walk into the forest and disappear like the other teams?" Maya asked. Elena injected the stimulant. Lyra convulsed once, then her eyes cleared. "What happened? Why is Thok carrying me?" "You were affected by something," Marcus explained. "Some kind of auditory phenomenon that made you want to walk into the forest." Neris was scanning frantically with her equipment. "I'm reading massive biological activity in the tree line. Something large. Very large." Maya's tactical display was lighting up with movement patterns in the forest around them. Multiple contacts, coordinated behavior, definitely not natural wildlife. "We need to move, now." They formed a defensive column with Maya on point and Thok bringing up the rear while carrying their gear. The forest around them seemed to pulse with hidden activity, branches moving without wind, shadows shifting in impossible patterns. "Maya," Elena said quietly, "what exactly are we dealing with here?" Maya considered her options. She could continue pretending ignorance and hope they made it back to base camp safely. Or she could tell them the truth and give them their best chance at survival. The decision was made for her when something massive burst from the tree line ahead of them. Maya had seen it before, during the war. The hegemony had called them harvesters, biological constructs designed to pacify and collect sentient beings for study and exploitation. This one was roughly humanoid but 12 feet tall, its surface covered in sensory tendrils that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Where a face should have been, there was only a mass of neural tissue that glowed with shifting colors. "Contact front!" Maya shouted, raising her weapon. "Everyone down!" The harvester's sensory tendrils flared, and Maya felt the edge of its neural field brush against her mind. For most species, the contact would have been overwhelming, a flood of artificial euphoria and compliance that made resistance impossible. But humans had proven surprisingly resistant to neural manipulation during the war. Their stubborn, chaotic thought patterns were difficult to control. Maya put 3 rounds center mass. The projectiles punched through the creature's bio-armor with wet thuds, but it barely slowed down. Harvesters were tough, designed to survive in battlefield conditions. "What is that thing?" Kellarn screamed, his skin cycling through rapid terror patterns. "Hegemony bioweapon," Maya replied, switching to armor-piercing rounds. "They collect sentient species for study and conditioning." More shapes were emerging from the forest. Maya counted at least 6 harvesters moving to surround them, their neural fields overlapping to create a zone of compulsion that would be impossible for most species to resist. "Everyone stay close to me," Maya ordered. "Human neural patterns disrupt their control fields. If you get too far away, they'll take you." Thok set down her equipment and produced a massive plasma rifle from her gear pack. Finally, she rumbled, something that makes sense. The Cronin opened fire, her weapon sending bolts of superheated plasma into the nearest harvester. The creature stumbled but kept advancing, its bio-armor slowly regenerating around the impact wounds. They adapt to energy weapons, Maya warned. Switch to kinetic rounds. I don't have kinetic rounds, Elena said, checking her sidearm. Then stay behind me and Thok. Maya's mind was racing through tactical options. 6 harvesters, unknown number of backup units, hostile terrain, and a team of scientists who weren't equipped for combat. During the war, this would have been a standard Tuesday. Now it was a disaster waiting to happen. The harvesters began coordinating their neural fields, creating a web of compulsion that pressed against the team's minds like a physical weight. Maya felt her teammates wavering, their movements becoming sluggish as the alien influence took hold. "Fight it!" she shouted. "Focus on something that makes you angry." It was an old military trick. Strong emotions, especially negative ones, could disrupt neural manipulation attempts. Maya had learned it during her first encounter with hegemony mind control weapons. Kellarn's skin flushed bright red. "They killed my research partner during the war." Elena was thinking about patients she'd lost to enemy action. "I won't let them take anyone else." The team's resistance strengthened, pushing back against the neural field. The harvesters paused, their sensory tendrils writhing in apparent confusion. They weren't used to organized resistance from their prey. Maya seized the opportunity. "Thok, suppressing fire on the left flank. Elena, help me with the tactical charges." "What tactical charges?" Elena asked. Maya was already pulling military-grade explosives from her gear pack. "Insurance policy. Kellarn, I need you to identify their central nervous systems. Where do I need to place these for maximum effect?" Kellarn's academic training overcame his fear. "The neural clusters are located in the cranial region, but they have redundant processing nodes throughout their torso. You'd need to destroy multiple systems simultaneously." "Then that's what we'll do." Maya armed the charges and began moving. Her military training took over completely. Suppression patterns, movement techniques, target prioritization. This was what she'd been trained for. She sprinted toward the nearest harvester, using cover and movement to avoid its grasping tendrils. The creature tried to establish neural contact, but Maya's mind was locked in combat mode, too focused and disciplined for the alien influence to take hold. The first charge went behind the creature's primary neural cluster. Maya rolled clear as the explosion tore through its sensory systems, causing it to collapse in a twitching heap. "One down," she called. "Thok, keep them off me." The Cronin engineer was proving to be surprisingly effective in combat, her plasma rifle keeping the other harvesters at a distance while Maya placed her remaining charges. Neris had overcome her initial terror and was using her biological scanners to identify weak points in the creature's anatomy. "There are more coming," Neris reported. "My sensors are detecting at least 20 additional bioforms approaching from multiple directions." Maya finished placing her charges and fell back to the team's position. "How long until pickup?" Marcus was already on his communication unit. "Endeavor, this is ground team. We need immediate extraction, combat situation, multiple casualties possible." The response crackled through with static interference. "Ground team, this is Endeavor. We're detecting significant atmospheric disturbance. Cannot guarantee extraction window for at least 4 hours." Maya checked her ammunition. 2 magazines left, plus the explosives she'd been saving for emergencies. Against 20-plus harvesters, it wasn't going to be enough. "Change of plans," she announced. "We're going to have to move to a more defensible position." "Where?" Elena asked. Maya smiled grimly. "I know a place. About 10 kilometers north, there's a series of caves that the hegemony used as a staging area during the war. If they're still intact, we can hold out until extraction arrives." "How do you know about military staging areas?" Kellarn asked. "Because I'm the one who cleared them out," Maya replied. Move out. I'll take point. The running fight through the forest lasted 2 hours. Maya led the team along routes she remembered from the war, using terrain features and tactical knowledge to stay ahead of their pursuers. The harvesters were persistent, but not particularly fast. Apparently designed more for stealth and psychological manipulation than direct pursuit. When they finally reached the cave system, Maya was relieved to find her memory accurate. The caves were still there, carved into a rocky outcropping that provided excellent defensive positions and multiple exit routes. "This will do," she said, checking the approaches. "Thok, can you set up overlapping fields of fire at the main entrances?" "Already on it," the Cronin replied, positioning her equipment for maximum coverage. As the team established their defensive position, Maya found herself face to face with Kellarn. The Altarian's skin was cycling through rapid color changes: confusion, fear, respect, and something that might have been awe. "You fought here before," he said. "During the war. This isn't just academic knowledge." Maya nodded. 3rd Recon Battalion. We spent 3 weeks clearing hegemony positions from these caves. And the harvesters? We called them different things during the war, but yes, we encountered them on multiple worlds. The hegemony used them to collect prisoners for interrogation and biological experimentation. Kellarn's skin settled into thoughtful purple. "That's why you were so resistant to their neural manipulation. Your species developed countermeasures." "We developed stubbornness," Maya corrected. "Humans are really good at being too angry to be controlled." The conversation was interrupted by Neris calling from her sensor station. "They've found us. I count 18 bioforms approaching, plus something else. Something much larger." Maya checked her tactical display. The harvesters were indeed approaching. But they'd brought reinforcements. Her sensors were detecting something massive moving through the forest, something that registered as a single organism despite being larger than their shuttle. "That would be the Queen," she said. "The harvesters are just workers. The real threat is their central intelligence." "Queen?" Marcus asked. "Picture a harvester the size of a small building with the combined neural capacity of everything it's ever collected." Maya began distributing her remaining ammunition to the team. "During the war, we only encountered 3 Queen-class organisms. It took orbital bombardment to stop them." Elena checked her medical supplies. "I don't suppose you have any orbital bombardment in your back pocket?" "Fresh out," Maya admitted. "But I've got something almost as good." She pulled a small device from her gear pack, no larger than a communication unit, but significantly heavier. The others gathered around as she activated its display. "Military beacon," she explained. "If I activate this, every Terran Federation ship within 50 light-years will receive a priority distress signal." "That's good, right?" Lyra asked. "It's also a weapon guidance system," Maya continued. "Federation ships carry kinetic bombardment packages for exactly this kind of situation. They can drop tungsten rods from orbit with pinpoint accuracy." Marcus understood the implications immediately. "You're talking about calling in an orbital strike on our position." "On the Queen's position," Maya corrected. "If we can lure it into the right spot." Kellarn's skin flushed pale yellow with fear. "How do we survive an orbital bombardment?" Maya gestured deeper into the cave system. "These caves go down about 200 meters. The bombardment will be surface only. We shelter deep and wait for pickup." "And if the caves collapse?" Elena asked. "Then we die. But we die taking the Queen with us, which means it can't collect any more research teams." The team exchanged glances. They were scientists, not soldiers, but they understood the mathematics of survival. Better to take a chance with the bombardment than face certain collection by the harvesters. "How long until the Queen arrives?" Marcus asked. Neris checked her sensors. 15 minutes, maybe 20. Maya activated the beacon. Federation Command, this is Sergeant Maya Chen, 3rd Recon Battalion. Emergency authentication code Tango 77 Alpha. Requesting immediate kinetic bombardment of designated coordinates. The response came within seconds. Authentication confirmed. Kinetic package inbound, ETA 8 minutes. Clear the impact zone immediately. Copy that, Command. Be advised, we're sheltering in subsurface positions and will need extraction after impact. Understood, Sergeant. Stay safe down there. Maya turned to the team. Everyone into the deep caves, now. They moved quickly through the twisting passages, following Maya's lead deeper into the mountain. Behind them, they could hear the harvesters entering the cave system, their bioluminescent displays creating eerie light patterns on the walls. The Queen's arrival was unmistakable. The entire cave system shook as something massive settled outside. And Maya's sensors registered neural activity so intense it made her equipment malfunction. "It's trying to establish contact," Neris reported, her voice strained. "The neural field is incredibly powerful." Maya could feel it too, a pressure against her mind like a massive tide trying to sweep away her individual consciousness. Around her, the team was struggling against the alien influence. Even Thok seemed affected, her movements becoming sluggish and confused. "Focus on me," Maya ordered, grabbing Lyra's hand and pulling the team into a tight circle. "Human neural patterns disrupt their control. Stay close and think angry thoughts." They huddled together in the deep cave, using Maya's natural resistance as a shield against the Queen's mental assault. Above them, they could hear movement as harvesters searched through the upper cave system. Then the bombardment arrived. Even 200 meters underground, the impact was overwhelming. The cave system shook like it was coming apart, dust and debris raining down from the ceiling. The sound was beyond description, a deep bone-rattling thunder that seemed to go on forever. When it finally stopped, the silence was absolute. Maya activated her communication unit. "Federation Command, this is Sergeant Chen, target eliminated, requesting immediate extraction for 6 personnel. Copy that, Sergeant. Transport inbound, ETA 20 minutes. Outstanding work down there." As they made their way back to the surface, they found a landscape transformed by orbital fire. Where the Queen had been, there was now a crater 50 meters across and 20 meters deep. The surrounding forest had been flattened in a perfect circle, trees reduced to splinters and ash. "My God," Elena whispered. "The power." "That's what it takes to stop a Queen-class organism," Maya said. "Believe me, we tried everything else first." Kellarn was scanning the crater with scientific instruments. "Fascinating. The thermal signature suggests the organism was completely vaporized, but there are trace biological compounds remaining. This could provide valuable data about hegemony bioweapons." "Assuming we survive long enough to analyze it," Marcus pointed out. "How many more of these things are out there?" Maya considered the question. During the war, they'd encountered Queen-class organisms on 7 different worlds. Only 3 had been confirmed destroyed, which meant at least 4 were still unaccounted for. "Enough to keep us busy," she said finally. The extraction shuttle arrived exactly on schedule, its pilot commenting on the impressive crater as they lifted off. As Kepler 442b fell away below them, Maya found herself looking down at forests where she'd once fought for humanity's survival. "Maya," Marcus said, settling into the seat beside her. "I have those sealed orders I mentioned, the ones I was supposed to open under specific circumstances." "What do they say?" Marcus handed her the datapad. The orders were brief and to the point. If Queen-class organisms were confirmed on Kepler 442b, Sergeant Maya Chen was to be offered a permanent position with the Galactic Defense Initiative as a specialist in hegemony bioweapon threats. "They knew," Maya said. "The consortium knew what was down there. They suspected. The pattern of disappearances was consistent with harvester activity, but they needed confirmation." Marcus paused. "They also needed someone who could survive long enough to provide that confirmation." Maya thought about her quiet student life, her dreams of studying alien ecosystems without having to fight them. Those dreams seemed very far away now. "What's the Galactic Defense Initiative?" she asked. "Joint task force between human military and alien science divisions. Their mission is to catalog and contain remaining hegemony bioweapons scattered across the galaxy." Marcus smiled. "The pay is excellent, and the work would definitely count toward your advanced degree requirements." "And the life expectancy?" "Classified, but probably better than 3rd Recon Battalion." Maya looked out the shuttle's viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there were at least 4 more Queen-class organisms, plus untold numbers of other hegemony bioweapons waiting to be discovered by unsuspecting research teams. The war might be over, but the cleanup was just beginning. "When do I start?" she asked. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in a lecture hall at the Galactic Defense Academy, addressing a mixed class of human soldiers and alien scientists. The room was packed with beings who had heard about the Kepler 442b incident and wanted to learn from someone who had actually survived a Queen-class encounter. "The most important thing to understand about hegemony bioweapons," Maya began, "is that they're designed to exploit the psychological vulnerabilities of their targets. They don't just attack your body, they attack your mind, your will to resist." A young Polarian officer raised her hand. "How do humans maintain resistance when other species cannot?" Maya smiled, remembering her conversation with Kellarn in the coffee shop years ago. "We're stubborn. When faced with something that wants to control us, our natural response is to get angry and fight back. It's not always the smartest response, but it's effective." An Altarian scientist spoke up. "Professor Kellarn has written extensively about human psychological resistance. He describes it as evolutionary stubbornness in the face of extinction." "Professor Kellarn is a very smart individual," Maya replied. "And he's right. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. When we decide we want something, we don't give up. When we decide to survive, we don't accept death. That attitude serves us well against bioweapons designed to make us surrender." After the lecture, Maya walked across the academy campus to her new office. The nameplate on the door read, "Dr. Maya Chen, Director of Bioweapon Defense Studies." It still felt strange to see her name with a doctoral title, but her fieldwork on Kepler 442b had earned her an honorary degree in applied xenobiology. Her communication unit buzzed with a message from Kellarn. "Maya, my latest research paper has been accepted by the Journal of Comparative Psychology. I've titled it, 'Human Courage as an Evolutionary Adaptation.' I've credited you as a primary source. Thank you for teaching an old professor something new about bravery." Maya smiled as she settled into her chair. Outside her window, she could see the training grounds where human soldiers and alien scientists worked together, learning to fight threats that most of the galaxy preferred to pretend didn't exist. Her door chimed, and Elena entered carrying a stack of reports. "3 new incidents this week," she said, dropping the files on Maya's desk. "One possible harvester sighting on Proxima 7, what might be a biosynthesizer on Kepler 186f, and something completely new on Wolf 359b. "Completely new how?" "It's eating starships." Maya leaned back in her chair and laughed. It was going to be a very interesting career. But then again, she'd never been good at staying bored. And the galaxy, it seemed, had plenty of work for someone who specialized in walking into impossible situations and somehow walking back out. 3 months later, as she prepared for her next mission to Wolf 359b, Maya received a message from an unexpected source. Derek Harrison, her former classmate who had tried to start that fight on campus years ago. "Sergeant Chen," the message read, "I wanted to apologize for my behavior at university. I've since learned about your service record and what you've accomplished for humanity. I'm currently enrolled in the Defense Academy's Bioweapons Specialist program. If you're ever looking for someone who's learned to channel their anger productively, I'd be honored to serve under your command." Maya smiled as she deleted the message. Some bridges could be rebuilt after all. As her transport prepared for departure to Wolf 359B, Maya checked her gear one final time. Combat knife secured. Ammunition checked. Emergency beacon ready. Scientific instruments calibrated. She was Dr. Maya Chen now, Director of Bioweapon Defense Studies, holder of advanced degrees and academic honors. But she was still the same person who had walked into danger so others didn't have to. The galaxy was full of threats that most species couldn't handle. Fortunately, the galaxy was also full of humans who were too stubborn to know when they were supposed to give up. And sometimes that stubbornness was exactly what the situation required.